Flooding rains have impacted parts of our area, and tropical activity continues to fire up. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. It's great to see you for the latest video. I hope you're doing well. You can see from our map, we've had a very active day. We'll talk about some flooding rains in our western areas, several areas of tropical development or potential tropical development for the week ahead. So a lot to get into. Let's get started. Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorney. Storm moves across the area, you get damage of any kind. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. As always, love to hear from our fantastic Meteo Mundo weather community. Drop a comment below. Let me know what's been happening in your area, what the weather has been like. Active surface analysis. We still have Tropical Storm Dexter. It's weakened today, but as it becomes post-tropical the next couple of days, the wind should actually become stronger. But again, it's moving into the northern Atlantic. It's moving away from the United States East Coast and the Canadian coastline and away from Bermuda. That is all good news. Not great with that tropical wave over Quintana Roo in the northern sides of Central America. They've had very heavy flooding rains for today. We'll look at that. And a vigorous tropical wave has now emerged off the West African coast. This is the first one that really has some high likelihood of tropical development later in the week in the Atlantic Basin. And we haven't even mentioned this area in orange off the U.S. East Coast and just north of the Bahamas, which now also has a medium chance of development. None of this should develop in the next, let's say, 24 to 36 hours. So I actually want to begin the video with the impactful weather for today. And that's going to be from Nicaragua to Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, and Quintana Roo with this tropical wave. Ample tropical moisture, very heavy rainfall, good thunderstorm activity, a lot of lightning and some really gusty winds. Look what's happening right now in the northern sides of Honduras. We had a 41-mile-an-hour wind gust there in the last couple of hours in the La Ceiba area, passing showers and storms, Utila, Roatan, and Guanaja, stinging over towards San Pedro Sula, heavy rain for Guatemala, good flooding rain for portions of Belize. As a matter of fact, the Toledo district of southern Belize has an excessive rainfall watch. Up to 4 inches of rain could fall just today, and other areas of Belize could also see some excessive rain. If you guys live in these areas, drop it in the comments section below. Let me know what you guys are seeing. Some of this is building north into the southern sides of Quintana Roo. Some of the thunderstorms already making the Campeche areas, and those will just continue to move north and west, and other additional isolated to scattered storms near Cancun and Cozumel should make a run towards the Merida area as well. It's just a really wet forecast the remainder of this Tuesday across the entire area, right? Even back down into portions of Nicaragua. Now, we'll dry out a bit on Wednesday as that axis of tropical moisture moves away, but what's been left behind is just a very wet, stormy forecast across this part of our area on this Tuesday. It's been much quieter in the Cayman Islands, Little Cayman, Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, looking fantastic here across this late Tuesday afternoon. Trying to get a few thunderstorms to develop at the hour in the western sides from our friends in Jamaica. Now, I'm going to pause this here a little bit earlier in the day, and you're going to see some of these thunderstorms develop kind of as far east as the Spanish Town area. Watch that lightning pop up right north of Spanish Town, just northwest of Kingston. If you guys live in those areas, kind of, western St. Andrew, St. Catherine parishes and west, let me know if you had some of that initial development. Now it's become more widespread, again, farther west that you go, northern Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover parishes, Lucy, Negril, Montego Bay, South Lamar, Cambridge. There's the thunderstorms at the hour. Look out for some locally heavier rainfall. Watch out for the lightning. Look out for some breezy conditions, especially along the southern offshore waters. We're seeing thunderstorms developing at the hour in the southeast sides of Cuba, and they're getting going across the island as well, but they're feeding from northeast to southwest from this very interesting mid-level low that is moving into the central southeast Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos at the present time. Again, this is a non-tropical system, but this mid-level lift in the atmosphere is really producing some widespread showers and storms from central sides of the Bahamas all the way down to Turks and Caicos. And you notice that fetch of moisture, I go back over to the enhanced satellite imagery here, again, is pushing everything south and west. And so I bring this up because I can't even rule out that some of the thunderstorms off the southeast coastline of Cuba near Santiago de Cuba could make a run towards Jamaica late this Tuesday evening. they'll mainly stay away from the islands, but it's not out of the question. Now here comes the rain and storms. Turks and Caicos, nice thunderstorm here over the Caicos a little bit earlier, just west of Grand Turk. Places like Mayaguana and the Acklins have had passing showers and storms right up towards Long Island and Exuma and Rum Key and San Salvador as well. A couple of scattered showers near Cat Island, a couple off the western side of Andros, New Providence, Eleuthera, the Abacos, Grand Bahama, Bimini, and Walker's Key, more quiet for today. As you guys know, one of the exclusive things we have here at Meteo Mundo is live cameras across the Caribbean. Happy to show you this live camera on this late Tuesday across Long Island. This is going to be from the White House area of Long Island as we look off towards the west. You can see those thunderstorms in the distance, a nice little shelf cloud as well, but just a very active day here with the passing showers and storms across the Long Island area. Again, you go farther north in the Bahamas, it's a quieter late Tuesday afternoon, central Eleuthera for you right now. A couple of billowing kind of cotton ball clouds out there, more fair weather clouds. Still can't rule out a passing shower or an isolated thunderstorm up in Eleuthera for today, but mainly a little bit quieter because this is more than anything digging off to the south and to the west, which is going to enhance the rain, by the way, in these areas tonight, overnight, and throughout the day on Wednesday as well. Now, this has nothing to do with our potential tropical development area here just off the east coast of the United States. That trough has now situated itself off the western side of the Atlantic, and there's going to be the opportunity down the road. It's going to be a couple of days to see the opportunity for a few, development potential areas here. About a 40% chance right now from the Hurricane Center, but we're just beginning to gather it up. X marks the spot. I do want you to notice that the Hurricane Center has us moving west, closer to the United States East Coast and the northern sides of Bermuda. So, it is a situation where we could have more impactful conditions for some of our area with that potential development area. I'll have a lot more on that coming up, I promise. We've seen some squally weather over Bermuda as Tropical Storm Dexter has begun to move away. Again, winds are just 40 miles an hour right now. Dexter could still bring some elevated sea conditions and some gusty winds to the New England coastline of the United States and portions of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland there in eastern Canada. But again, it's a compact system moving into the cooler waters of the North Atlantic. Relatively speaking, it's done causing any big problems for most locations. We'll swing back over to the Dominican Republic and Haiti, still having that moisture fetch coming out of the northeast, just like the Turks and Caicos. Thunderstorms are actually developing on the southern side of the island. So Lacaille, Port-au-Prince, Baja-Rona, Santo Domingo, places like that, those are the areas with the best opportunity for showers and storms for today. Some that could produce some locally heavier rainfall as well. One other interesting note out of this area is we had a good earthquake earlier this morning just off the tip of the eastern sides of the Dominican Republic, just south and east of Punta Cana, 5.7. If you felt that in either the Dominican Republic or the western sides of Puerto Rico, let me know in the comments section below. Just kind of curious to see if we had anyone experience and feel that earthquake. Starting to see a couple of thunderstorms develop on the western sides of Puerto Rico. That is good news. You know why? It's been another hot day. Heat advisories, temperatures have been in the upper 80s, lower 90s, but feels like numbers have been as high as 105 in a couple of locations. And it's all come along with some gusty winds. St. Thomas today had a nice wind there. Roadtown Tortola, by the way, in the British Virgin Islands had a decent little shower earlier in the day, but it's been fairly few and far between for central and eastern sides of Puerto Rico and across the Virgin Islands, mainly just gusty winds, shallow moisture, limited opportunity. But from Mayaguez to Aguadilla on the western sides of Puerto Rico, we're seeing a few thunderstorms develop. The moisture axis across the Lesser Antilles has weakened significantly, so we don't have a lot of rain to speak about on this Tuesday for most areas. Fresh breeze over the St. Martin area earlier, right around 30 miles an hour. And again, a passing shower is possible for Anguilla and Ceiba, St. Eustatius, St. Bart, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua Barbuda for today, but not a lot of rain. Many dry hours and locations. Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, all in that same boat. And really, you're going to see that St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Grenada until you get down to TNT, where it's kind of a different scenario there. But before we get there, what do you say we take a live look to Corinth, St. Lucia late on this Tuesday? Again, the sun glistening off the coastal waters. Beautiful day, just a fresh breeze if nothing else, but again, a fantastic afternoon there in the Corinth area. Now you go further off to the south and you can see the moisture-laden air streaming in from the south and east. So we've had some downpours and a few thunderstorms over Trinidad, a couple of passing showers over Tobago, trying to sneak towards Grenada, but generally speaking, Grenada is going to be dry for today. But again, there is more ample tropical moisture moving in. So TNT, a much different forecast with elevated rain chances compared to the rest of the windward islands. This will spread over Nueva Esparta. And then you get as far west as the ABC Islands. We haven't had the gusty winds for today, but we also haven't had any rain as well. And what a beautiful shot from Oranjestad late on this Tuesday afternoon. Again, fresh breeze, but not the 35, 40 mile an hour wind gusts that we've had. And the sun is just glistening off of those beach coastal waters. Beautiful shot from Oranjestad. Happy to bring you those pictures. If you guys enjoy these live cameras, do me a favor, click that like button for me right now. I'd really appreciate that. So let's get into the forecast. And regardless of whether, it's the cameras you like or if you're getting anything out of this video, thank you so much for hitting that like button and subscribing to Meteo Mundo. You found your home here for Caribbean weather. Thanks for sharing this channel with your family and friends. And appreciate all those who have found other ways to support the channel as well. Our memberships are open. We have 2 tiers. You can become a supporter or a Team MM member. And for those who have supported the channel via the super thanks as well. All right, so let's get into the forecast. Take a quick sip of water here, please. Excuse me. Get kind of a dry throat this time of the year. I speak a lot. So we'll talk about what's going on in the tropics coming up. I promise you that. And especially with this very, very vigorous tropical wave here, which already looks pretty good. 50% chance of development as it gets into the main development region of the Atlantic. But in the shorter term, what I want to do is talk about the rainfall forecast in your area. I want to go island by island, and then we'll break down the tropics and how that's going to play out the remainder of this week and even into next week. So let me loop up the short-term forecast. Again, just kind of looking at what's going to be happening here with Dexter, moving away, staying as a post-tropical storm in the next couple of days, but not harming anyone, no direct impacts as far as any tropical storm conditions to anywhere. Going to be interesting what might occur here off the United States East Coast. Now, even in the next couple of days, let me make sure I bring on the model timeline so you guys can see, nothing is going to organize quickly here, off of the U.S. East Coast, just north of the Bahamas, but there will be a lot of ample moisture, if nothing else. So we're going to have some heavy rainfall across the I-95 corridor, the southeast United States, but also ample moisture across all of the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, even places like Cuba, where rain chances are going to be elevated for the coming days. Now, one reason why is with this potential area to the north of the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, you get that rich southerly flow. And winds coming in out of the south will provide that opportunity. Let me show you that here. I'm going to bring on these 10-meter winds real fast, just to show you that, and then loop this up one more time. So you're going to see that, from time to time, these winds are going to be turning north, and if this were to develop and move farther west, that flow would be even more out of the due south. But there's a lot of moisture-laden air here to provide a high opportunity for some rainfall in these areas the next couple of days. Now, as we go off towards the west, and let me loop this back up, places like Quintana Roo and Belize and Honduras and Guatemala and Nicaragua will begin to dry out a bit starting tomorrow, right? Not going to be completely dry, but we're just not going to be inundated with the 2 to 4 inch rainfall totals that we've had in a couple of spots, mainly because the system, our new invest down here, by the way, 91E, so we're back to the second 91E of the season. They've had, I believe now, 12 invests, will be moving to the west and taking all of that moisture with it. It'll take a day or two to get more moisture to come back in, but we should start to see improving rain chances again for Quintana Roo. You can see the showers coming back in late in the week for Cancun and Cozumel. And again, more scattered in nature until you get back down to Costa Rica and Panama, where that monsoon trough reactivates once the system moves off towards the west. So heavy rainfall for Panama City and San Jose, places like that. Still looking for scattered showers and thunderstorms across my friends in Jamaica, mainly interior, hillier areas and the western parishes with the best chances for showers and storms. I know Independence Day is tomorrow. Happy Independence Day to my friends in Jamaica. I'm expecting about the same forecast that I had for today, and that's again thunderstorms developing mainly in western areas in the afternoon, but even as far east as Kingston, can't rule out a couple of isolated thunderstorms in the early afternoon. So just again, if thunder's roaring, you head indoors, but otherwise have a fantastic Independence Day, my friends in Jamaica. Scattered showers and a rumble of thunder over Cuba, which will become more widespread deeper into the afternoon hours we go into Wednesday. We've already talked about the wet forecast for most of the Bahamas. We're going to start to dry out a little bit for the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Tomorrow's still a little bit wetter day. We're still close to that kind of mid-level spin, so we're going to get some showers and storms for Samana and Punta Cana and Santo Domingo, Lecay and Port-au-Prince, all with that opportunity. Now you get farther east, and in the short term, it's a drier forecast for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and the Lesser Antilles in general. Shallow moisture coming in with the brisk easterly winds, but look for temperatures to be in the upper 80s, lower 90s Fahrenheit. Look for feels like temperatures to be 100 to 105 Fahrenheit in the afternoon hours, which could still prompt some heat advisories in some areas. If you're not tolerant to the heat, make sure you avoid the outdoor hours in the afternoon if you can. Again, it's just really spotty through most of the Lesser Antilles. I've got some rain chances in the next 3 days, but nothing outrageously high. And if anything falls, it's not going to be on the heavier side. It's only TNT to have the opportunity for heavier rain, widespread showers, especially down towards Trinidad. Tobago might even be a category 2 lower than what Trinidad could have. Generally, the farther south that you go, the better the rain chance is going to be. Don't have a lot of rain in the forecast for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao until we get to Friday. And beginning on Friday, I think we're going to have more moisture-laden air and a better opportunity for some passing showers and even an isolated thunderstorm. Now back up towards Bermuda. Again, as Dexter moves away, Bermuda should dry out. I don't think this system in the short term is going to be impacting Bermuda, again, because it's forecast to move off towards the west. Again, we're going to deep dive into the tropics right after this, but let's go island by island to begin with. Northwest Bahamas really starts to get wet starting tomorrow. I know the central and southeast Bahamas was wetter today and overnight, but as we get into our Wednesday afternoon, thunderstorms should be more prolific there. It's not like the central and southeast Bahamas will be quiet, because they won't. Still a really good chance for some rain tomorrow in Turks and Caicos. Good thunderstorm chances in Cuba. Getting better for the Cayman Islands the next couple of days as well, up to a 50% chance. Belize City's rain chances again fall, certainly from what we had today. 40% chance tomorrow. We're going to have a 30 on Thursday and Friday, and then more isolated in nature, but still locally heavy downpours for Cancun and Cozumel. Rain chances in Jamaica, again, for Independence Day, Wednesday, 50% chance tomorrow, 50 on Thursday, 40 on Friday. Dominican Republic's rain chances stay decent, but you notice a drop off in Puerto Rico from a 40% chance tomorrow to drying out on Thursday and Friday, which means it gets hot, hot, hot again there. U.S. and British Virgin Islands will also see more isolated showers and storms than anything else. Still some passing squall weather for Bermuda tomorrow, but then rain chances fall through the rest of the week. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis stay with scattered rain, probably not even thunderstorm activity, just really shallow moisture. Again, nothing very prominent through most of the Lesser Antilles, despite the fact that some areas will have a 40 to 50 to even a 60% chance for showers and storms. Just don't look for a lot of rain in these areas. Generally speaking, the farther south that you go until you get to TNT, you're going to see even drier locations. So many dry hours across Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, and Grenada through Friday. Better rain chances for Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname, and Guyana over the next 3 afternoons. Nueva Esparta's best rain chance is Friday, and again, we get in, Thursday, and then we get into Friday, and that's where the ABC rain chances begin to return. As far as rainfall totals go, again, the next few afternoons, you look out west, those 2 to 4 inches of rain, portions of Central America, Quintana Roo, but down the road, you can see the excessive rainfall that could be produced by this slow-moving development area. Regardless of what it wraps up into, it's not going to be moving much. So you could get some copious amounts of rain, central, northern, northwest Bahamas, especially up towards New Providence and Andros and Grand Bahama. Those could be areas that could get a lot of rain. Now, waves are going to be an interesting scenario. As that develops, we're going to have some long period swells move into the eastern side of the Bahamas. And then you see this thing next week. Again, this is based off the GFS model. So clearly the GFS model wants to bring in a tropical system into the Western Atlantic. I'll let that loop up one more time. We'll talk more about this coming up, I promise you, but just to show you again that obviously the GFS has some interesting things happening next week there. You're gonna see fresh winds across the ABC Islands and the southern sides of Jamaica as well. So let's look at the rainfall totals again real quickly here, because I just wanna point out some of the areas that I've mentioned. So down the road, you get into the northern and the northwest Bahamas, and again, you're gonna have a couple of spots here. We can query these locations. And again, does it fall over the islands? Does it stay off the island? That's always a big question, but 2, 4, maybe 5 inches of rain in the next couple of days returning to these areas. A lot of heavy rainfall near Miami, Florida, the southern sides there. Still could get some passing heavier rain in other portions of the Bahamas as well. Excessive rainfall is a possibility across Cuba. solid totals there. Again, over an inch of rain possible in a couple of areas of Jamaica. We've already mentioned the heavier rain here, but you can see some of that. And again, not a ton of rain, nor the sides of the Lesser Antilles, but then you sneak down towards Trinidad, and here you go. The next thing you know, you have 100 millimeters of rain. Tobago, some. Grenada, hardly anything. There's a huge cutoff in the moisture here in the Windward Islands. All right, so let's get back out to the broad perspective. Now we're going to deep dive into the tropics, all right? Again, short term, I'm going to bring on the infrared satellite, or the visible satellite imagery again. This is a nice little shear axis developing off of this trough, 40% chance of development as it meanders off towards the north and to the west. Back out to the broad view with this system, now a 50% chance of development. Now, we're still showing this pointing farther north and west before it gets to the Lesser Antilles, but some of the ensemble members make it a very close brush. And anytime we have a system that is east of the Lesser Antilles, we always have to pay a very close attention to it. All right, so I'm going to go out a full week, which is nothing outrageous, just 7 days. We're not going 10 or 14 days out, but I want to talk about these two areas. Again, Dexter's moving away. That's great news, right? You can clearly see on the GFS model, there's a few things happening here, right? First of all, here comes the first one. You don't really see it developing until it gets right about here, but notice again that it is farther south and west, just like it was yesterday, compared to what we have through most of the development area from the National Hurricane Center. This is why we still have to pay really close attention, especially in the Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Because if this were to develop this far, south and west, there would be at least some impacts. Maybe not direct impacts, but that's what I showed you on that Wave Watch product, that the GFS model has this going more towards Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas, rather than moving north and west. That is the same wave. Okay, but the GFS deterministic model is not having it recurve that quickly north and west. That will bear watching for the week ahead. Again, we always have to keep a vigilant eye with these robust tropical waves in the main development region of the Atlantic until they get away from our area. But you can see the GFS deterministic has that moving in. Now, on the heels of that, here comes the first wave moving through. As we get towards the weekend and early next week, we've got yet another very vigorous tropical wave potentially developing in that same exact spot. That's what it looks like on the reflectivity. I'm going to show you guys the wind product now. So these are going to be sustained surface winds. Wrong one. Bear with me here. All right, let me loop that up. And I'm going to dump these vectors so it's a little bit easier to see. All right, see if I got this right this time. There's the winds. Let's loop it up. And I'm going to take off the development areas because it's just a little bit easier to see the wind field profiles. So this is going to be your surface-based winds, right? Again, GFS model with our tropical wave with a 50% chance of development. There it is. Here it comes, riding through just north of the Leeward Islands, but strengthening and really beginning to wrap up near the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos next Tuesday, 1 week from now. Again, it's one model run, but we've had some subsequent and consistent model runs of the GFS, at least holding this wave together and keeping it farther west than where the National Hurricane Center has it moving. That's why we got to keep a very vigilant eye on that. Again, it misses the Lesser Antilles and the Leeward Islands in general, and the British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, a couple hundred miles to the north, as kind of a more elongated, just beginning to wrap up system, but then it really gets its act together closer to the Southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos a week out. Again, it's just one model run, but I want to emphasize that it's something that certainly bears watching. Now, across here, the United States East Coast the next couple of days, you never really see anything fully gather up here, right? If we're just looking at the next couple of afternoons, we never really see that 40% area develop here. What's interesting is that in the Gulf, you get a little bit of a twist of some wind out here. And you can even see that in the southern sides of the Southwest Gulf as well. So could be a couple of other interesting areas to monitor there. But obviously the one that I'm most interested to keep a very close eye on is what you see there. And again, down the road, back where this one begins to wrap up, in about a week's time, there's another tropical wave into the main development region of the Atlantic that shows some potential signs of development. That is the GFS models. There it is again, about a week out. That's the GFS model. What does the European model look like? Well, a chance of a tropical depression over the next 10 days. Obviously, this is Dexter. It has about a 40 to a 50% chance with our orange area off the United States East Coast. It also has a little bit developing, very low potential in the Eastern Gulf. But then you have, again, basically a near guarantee of the next tropical wave that we've discussed developing. Now, some of that takes it north, but you can also see there's a little bit of development chance into the Lesser Antilles on the European model. So nothing is set in stone that this is going to be recurving north of the area. When we take a look at the European model here, and I'm going to extend this out, I believe this goes out to about the 16th, you're going to see a couple of areas. First of all, a few developing with our 50% chance, a couple beginning to develop here in the Leeward Islands, throughout the greater Antilles as well. And then as we stop this is going to be about a full 10, 11 days out, but you can see that we have several areas here, including near the Bahamas, near the greater Antilles, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, and even a couple of spots here that were in the Gulf a little bit earlier in the period. But you get the idea that the European model is also quite active in this time frame. That's the close-up version. This is the wider scale version over just the next week. Again, here comes our 50% development area. There's the 40% chance developing here. And now the European model generally takes this one north, okay? Generally. It's the second one here. We've stopped it 4 days earlier than the one I just showed you, is the one that makes the run towards the Lesser Antilles. So even if we scave this first one, which again, the GFS model pulls here, so the GFS model is here, the European model is here, the secondary one that's developing in about a week's time looks to be a little bit lower latitude storm. And again, an opportunity around the United States East Coast, either the Gulf Coast or off the Atlantic coast or near the Bahamas, a few areas showing signs of potential development here. This is the HAFS-A. That's that first one again. Now the HAFS-A doesn't go as far out in time, just going to take you here to, I think, Friday or Saturday, but you get the idea that this one is also, again, a little bit farther south and west compared to where the Hurricane Center has that going. So it's something we have to keep an eye on for our friends in the eastern side of the Caribbean. The HAFS-A model doesn't have much development, though, with the area off the east coast of Florida. Those are the things I look at behind the scenes, all the different kinds of models. And again, what are the trends? Which models are consistent? You know, which models kind of go in line with each other, and are they all over the place, or are they all kind of lining up? It does look like, again, especially with the first wave, we got to monitor, and potentially an even stronger second one coming next week. Friends, I appreciate you guys. You can follow us across all social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. As always, if you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. While you're down there, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Friends, have a great rest of your day. I'm back tomorrow with your latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.